Could I have a motion to rise from closed? And that's moved by Councillor Martin and second by Councillor Bird. All in favor? So moved. Matters arising from closed. We do have minutes from March the 19th to be adopted and moved by Councillor Whalen and second by Councillor Amiot. All in favor? So moved. All right. Consent items. We have not received any to be pulled. Do I still see that? So all in favor then to adopt the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Franson and also Councillor Lambshead. All in favor. Thank you. Okay. Does anyone have a notice of motion? Sorry, I have jumped away ahead. Staff report. Oh, yes, here's my, okay. And we'll ask Jennifer to come back to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden Council. Thank you, Warden Clark. So the report is the 2025 Economic Development and Tourism budget. A portion of this budget was approved as part of the 2025 budget in December. But if you'll recall, there was $240,000 that was left set aside until we had an opportunity to meet with staff and the ACDEV committee to figure out what the appropriate use of those funds were. And so the report walks through in detail of what we're proposing the budget would be. There's approximately $70,000 that we have left unallocated. We're requesting that those funds be put into a reserve for now. Just recognizing that this is the first year of the department. We have an idea of what we think our businesses will be looking for, but we aren't sure that we're actually going to be achieving what their expectations were. PCAD obviously had a much larger budget and was able to do a lot more with that money than what we will have with our budget. And so we really feel that it's important to keep that $70,000 set aside in reserves until next year rolls along and we can sort of evaluate how the program's working and assess what the needs of our businesses are and whether we're able to meet that. So with that, I do have our general manager of ACDEV and our general manager of communications and tourism with me. If there's any specific questions, but I can answer the high level questions.
Okay. And open up for questions. Councillor Graham.
Through you, Warden, question with regards to the Lakefield office. In the original conversation and the lease agreement, I believe the costing was estimated at $22,000 and change for the rent, but it seems as though our cost to operate that are $40,000 in excess of that amount. That seems like an astronomical amount of operational costs, double the amount of our rent. Could that be explained?
Yep, through the warden, just give me 2 seconds. Yeah, so the lease costs for that facility are about $30,000, what we have in the budget. We have $20,000 for materials, supplies, and services. So that would include, sorry, just looking at my notes here. Yeah, so it's the facility rent, the supplies, and the facility maintenance. So we have to do the snow clearing and things like that. We have to buy the material, the toiletries and the cleaning supplies and have the facility cleaned, all those sorts of things. So that's what's making up that budget.
And janitorial services would be inclusive.
Correct.
Okay. Councillor Graham.
And just to follow up on that, can you just clarify what exactly what services or et cetera, how that office is, rolling into this new ACDEV department? What services are being offered, et cetera, like some general, the role it plays in our outreach, et cetera.
Sure, I'll do my best. So at that facility, both the ACDEV and the tourism offices there. We have our communications coordinators there daily front of desk as visitors come in to answer questions to provide directional service. We've included in the budget some part-time salaries so that we can have summer students there on the weekends throughout the summer months to direct traffic and provide information. Community Futures is also using space in that facilities, as is the Chamber of Commerce. And Selwyn's AcDev office is also in that building.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it's to have a face in the county. Before everyone had to come in, other than our satellites going around. So this is our face that is there on the main street. And several businesses have come in. I might also add that during the storm, we entertained one of our ministers that came as well. Also, Minister Lachey of Mines and Energy. And so we were able to utilize that. I think there has been other events that have been held there as well. And so opportunities for that. Okay, thank you. All right, any further questions? Yes, Councillor Tick.
Thanks, Warren Clark. Yes, something, Jen, in the report that's recommended is that we no longer, after 2025, we no longer fund Music Fest to $15,000. I'm struggling with that one. The Music Fest is certainly an important regional event that we historically have provided funding for quite some time. I know we need to cut dollars wherever and whenever possible. This is a struggle for me. And I'm not sure you can help me with that.
No, so through the warden, we're not necessarily suggesting that council cut it. I think it's a discussion that we need to have. Now that we have our own in-house economic development and tourism capacity, we're actually now starting to get requests from other agencies on, can we sponsor their events or their activities? And so I think it's really more a conversation, perhaps a report that needs to come back to council to talk about what is our appetite to sponsor events throughout the county, and is $15,000 going towards an event that's within the city the right use of those dollars, or are there other things that we'd rather do with that money? So we're not suggesting we cancel it. We're just saying it's something that council needs to talk about.
So perhaps I misinterpreted, because I thought this was a recommendation in the report, and I thought that if we received and approved the report, we also, of course, approved the recommendation within. That's not the situation here.
It's not a recommendation in the report. It's just there for council to consider, something that council needs to consider.
Okay, good. Thank you. And that'll be an interesting conversation. But another comment I'd like to make, if I can, is this is a first year that Peterborough County has brought economic development in-house. And frankly, right off the bat, I was anticipating more of a savings from our economic development expense when it was PKED than what we're seeing. So, and Rhonda's here. Rhonda, I'm really going to be interested in what sort of measurable outcomes you can bring back to council, bring back to me, to show me, to demonstrate after a year, exactly what are we getting for this money. It's important, and I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Amiot.
Thank you. Through you, well, I'll speak to what was my second point first, because Joe already brought it up, but I'm on the same page as Joe. I don't believe that we should look at cutting the Music Fest funding at all. And I do agree that it should come back, and we should have a discussion maybe around those kinds of events. But yes, it's an event held in the city. But it has a huge regional impact, and I really think that it's Canada's longest running outdoor free concert series, right? So it is something I think that is worth supporting, and I think the county plays a vital role in that. As for the report and just it's more of a comments than anything. I recognize that this is the first year, but I just want to give sort of feedback from my position in North Kawartha, and what we're seeing is we're already seeing the positive benefits of taking this on in-house. I know that our EDO, along with our municipal staff, are feeling incredibly supported by the county team, and our local businesses as well are feeling that there's more inclusion, they're connected. And I really think that, we need to really take the time this year to see what's going on. I want to acknowledge the fact that even with the tariff response that came out so quickly, I mean, I know who was consulted on that. It was an excellent response. I feel like I have high expectations, certainly, for this team and for this department. And I want to set them up to succeed. So, I mean, this year is a critical year. And I think that, we need to give them the opportunity to to go through and show us exactly what they can do. So I am supportive of the recommendation in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. I'm going to go to Jen first and then Deputy Warden Sennis and then Councillor Graham. Oh, Councillor Graham is not, okay.
Thank you, Warden Clark. I just want to follow up on a comment that Councillor Taylor made. And that is that, you know, PCAD had a bigger budget and what they were able to do with that budget. And I think if we think about our consolidated municipal services management agreement that we have with the city, we know that the county's paying a greater share of paramedic services than what we're actually receiving. Similarly, on housing, we're paying a greater share of housing than what we're seeing as housing in the county. I think PCAD was an example where the city was paying a greater share and the county was reaping the benefit of that. So there wasn't two separate bank accounts at PCAD where the county was, you know, only receiving services based on what they were paying for, and the city was only receiving services for what they were paying for. It was a combined pool. And when you think about tourism in particular, the majority of our tourism assets reside within the county. And so I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding if we think that we can provide a greater level of economic development and tourism services for less cost than what PCAD could do it, because I do believe we were receiving some advantage of the fact that it was a pooled resource between the county and the city. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Deputy Warden Sennis.
Thank you, through you. I just want to echo what Councillor Amott said. I think that the department has been working their butts off since they've started it up. We see a lot more activity in the county with regards to economic development and tourism, and I'd like to move the recommendation.
So, and seconder, Councillor Lambshead. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Councillor Graham, speak to the motion, please.
Speaking to the motion, my concern is the moving of the 69,000 to the working group fund. I'd still like, it was discussed at the January presentation with additional ECDEV understanding. I think there's been some good conversations about some misinterpretations and misunderstanding about this new department, which is understandable given its infancy. But I'd like to suggest a friendly amendment, I guess, to withhold that transfer to the working fund until we receive the further planning information and a bit more detail in a future council meeting.
So look to the, yes.
Through you, just for clarification, when funds are transferred to a county reserve, they can't be moved out of that reserve or spent without a motion of council allocating it to that specific item. So we wouldn't be able to touch that 69,000 without a motion of council.
So that would cover Councillor Graham's. Does that satisfy then instead of asking for an amendment, Councillor Graham?
I'll leave the request for the amendment.
You're leaving the request?
Yep.
Okay, would the mover and seconder or no, I'm seeing no, okay. Any further speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Sorry. Councillor Graham, you have the option to not have a friendly amendment and to amend the main motion. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, thank you for that, Carrie. Now, calling the vote. All in favor? That is moved. Thank you. Just like to comment on the 15,000 and instead of not allocating that for Music Fest. I know we contributed to the Canoe Museum. We have a museum, Lang Century Village, that has received awards. Maybe we should just ask the city to reciprocate, and maybe because a lot of their visitors come out into the county, maybe we could ask for a request that they may consider us in their budgeting. So anyway, I'll leave that. Does anyone have a notice of motion? And I see none. Announcements. Any announcements going on in the county? And I don't see any. So I would like to make a proclamation this morning, and that's for Museum Month, and specifically because of the jewel that we have at Lang Century Village. So Since 2000, communities across the province has proclaimed the 5th month of the year as May is Museum Month. At the request of our own award-winning Lang Pioneer Village Museum, I am making a proclamation on behalf of Peterborough County. Whereas the 700 plus museums, art galleries, and heritage sites, and the over 8,000 museum workers and 16,000 volunteers contribute to Ontario's 26 billion cultural sector. And whereas museums, as trusted local organizations, create healthy and connected communities, and by ensuring all Ontarians have access to culture and heritage, inspire lifelong learning. And whereas museums promote growth and build local economies by welcoming tourists in every community across the province. And whereas this month provides an opportunity to raise awareness for the vital role museums, museum workers, and volunteers have in their communities and celebrate their contributions to community well-being, tourism, education, and learning. And whereas May the 18th, 2025 is International Museum Day to highlight museums as centers of education, innovation, and cultural understanding in our communities. Therefore, I, Warden Bonnie Clark, so hereby proclaim May 2025 as May is Museum Month in Peterborough County and encourage all residents and tourists to visit our local museums in May. Thank you. Well, Lang deserves. So confirming by law, mover and seconder, Councillor Watson. Picking up, and Councillor Black, all in favor. Thank you. And adjournment, and Councillor Martin and